Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite podcast, a podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom, from movies, TV shows, comics, video games. We got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here with Courtney. Courtney, it's a pretty big week.
It is a pretty big week. We got Hawkeye tomorrow. Super excited for that one. The reviews from whatever people that get lucky enough to see these shows before we do have been saying some great things about it, and just the personnel of this show, the storyline. I'm hearing a lot of great stuff about it being the most grounded MCU show, and that's saying something after Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. So can't wait to see Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. That's my number one most anticipated thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. So Hawkeye will be premiering tomorrow. By the time you hear this, it'll be today.
Two episodes,
yeah. They're double barreling us, which is, I think, pretty cool. Also, I think they're trying to get this season in before Spider-Man comes out.
Because, listen, unless there's a direct reference, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did with Age of Ultron, then Spider-Man's going to overshadow this show,
right.
And I understand.
Right, so that's part of it. So we are going to do a little bit of a preview for the Hawkeye TV show, as well as a little season recap for DC's Stargirl, which is one of my favorite superhero shows going right now.
Such an underrated fandom property, and I can't wait to kind of break down some of the things from that season and talk about how it was a horror season. This supposedly young adult show turned into a full-out horror season with a lot of great messages, and it's just a well-made show. Mm-hmm. They got the HBO money, you can tell.
Mm-hmm. But first, the news.
Let's talk, man. I want to talk about the thing that I'm probably most excited for out of this, and this is Delroy Lindo joining Blade. That's big time. I don't know. So, Delroy Lindo, I believe Deadline reported it that Delroy Lindo would be joining MCU's Blade with Mahershala Ali. I don't know who he's playing or what he could be doing, but I mean, the way they announced it makes me feel like he's either going to be the villain of this movie or he's going to be Blade's mentor in this movie.
That's what I think he's going to be.
Yeah, those are the only two things that make the most sense.
I think he's going to take the Chris Christopherson played Abraham Whistler in the first Blade series of films.
Yep.
I think that would be probably the role that Delroy Lindo is going to play.
I mean, also coming off The Harder They Fall, which essentially he was the Marshal, but he kind of did the same thing for Jonathan Major's character in that movie, so that'd be kind of funny for him to do the same thing. But, I mean, this movie's shaping up to be something special. I mean, we saw the Moon Knight trailer. We got the end credit scene from Eternals. Spoiler alert. Blade shows up at the end. We don't see him. His voice shows up at the end, just nuts, with Black Knight, Kit Harington. We have Werewolf by Night. We have that property coming out, I think, next year for Halloween. So, like I said last episode, you can kind of feel the Midnight Suns forming. I think that's what they're trying to go for. So, give us more Blade content. I can't wait till we get the first official look. I might lose it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, they know it's. You saw this with Spider-Man, that when they inherit a property that has been previously done, they almost kind of want to over-deliver in terms of pleasing the fans. I think they did that with Spider-Man. They want to do that with Blade. I think we're starting to see them do that with the X-Men also.
Sure.
And then, I mean, the big one is probably Fantastic Four, which is way, 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 way off in the future.
Yeah.
But it's clear, like, when they inherit these previously owned properties that have come home to Marvel, they really want to do it, quote unquote, justice.
Right.
Not that those Blade movies are bad. I think the first one is very good.
Oh yeah, the first one's probably I wouldn't say the very top tier, but it's in the upper echelon of superhero films at the time, especially. It was one of the only ones you could find. So
yeah, so I'm super excited for that. What else we got?
I mean, Natasha Liu is going to join the Ahsoka show. So, listen, Star Wars is still making stuff. Don't get it twisted. She's coming on as Sabine Wren. So, all my Star Wars Rebels fans out there, that's big time. I don't have much to say about this. I mean, the Ahsoka's appearance in The Mandalorian Season 2, I mean, amazing, phenomenal. Rosario Dawson killed that. And the show, it's kind of gearing up to take place, I guess, after Rebels. I guess it's in between Rebels and before The Mandalorian Season 2, which makes the most sense. So, I haven't finished Rebels. I started Rebels. I didn't watch the last season of the Clone Wars, so I don't know what the heck's going on in Star Wars right now. I only know most of the stuff from the main movies. But cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that they're it's not surprising that they're reaching into the Rebels bag
Yeah.
for the Ahsoka show, because so much of that show is going to be built by the lore established in Clone Wars and established in Rebels.
Yeah, and then kind of followed up in season 2 of The Mandalorian, especially with who am I thinking of that joined them at the end in season 2 that needed.
Bo-Katan.
Yeah, Bo-Katan. Yeah. So you could kind of see it. Like I said, I don't know if this show's taking place in between Rebels and Mandalorian season 2, or if it's taking place
After.
Yeah, after all of this, and Sabine Wren's like much, much older. So we'll see. Excited. I'm excited about most things. Just you're gonna probably have rare things that I'm not excited for. So
yeah, and I mean, she has an interesting kind of through line to how The Mandalorian season 2 ended.
Yeah,
and so that she is technically the heir to the Darksaber.
Yeah, Bo-Katan. Yeah. And
Sabine Wren too.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's probably going to be a big aspect of the show. I think also, who am I also thinking of from? They said that he might be in this Ahsoka show. We thought he.
Grand Admiral Dawn.
No, not even Thrawn. Ezra.
Ezra, yeah.
Yeah, so I could definitely see Ezra also showing. This Ahsoka show is probably just going to be a sequel to Rebels. This is what it feels like.
Sequel to Rebels, yeah.
Right.
That's what I think, too.
Yeah, more power to them to do something like this.
Yeah, and hopefully The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to lean into more Mandalore stuff.
Yeah, that's got to do more Mandalore work, and this show, the Ahsoka show, has to do a little bit more groundwork for the Rebels, because that was a big part of Star Wars, and kind of this season of Clone Wars that just came out, it was like a huge deal because we hadn't seen the show, and it was finally the Siege of the Jedi that we were finally seeing brought to screen. So yeah, this one's going to be an interesting show. I mean, as soon as they announced it, I knew it was going to be, definitely going to be a hit.
Hopefully that's the direction they're going, because I think we talked about this last week, how The Mandalorian Season 2 became like Cameos, the TV show.
Yeah.
And it kind of got away from what made the first season so great.
Yeah, it got forgiven because of the level of cameos and how well they were portrayed in the production value, and the show was still extremely well made, but it was sort of a cop-out for original content that you were doing over and over.
Yeah, so hopefully Season 3 gets back to more Mandalore stuff, and now he's on his own.
Oh, yeah.
The Grogu piece is removed from the equation.
Very interesting, too, because we got to see if this show can survive without one of the biggest money grabbers of any modern media, if you think about it.
Really?
I mean, Baby Yoda was everywhere, absolutely everywhere for 2 years, almost 2 years plus.
Yeah.
So we got to see. I mean, we'll see if he takes off the helmet. Maybe they try to sell Pedro Pascal a little bit more, because he's definitely an actor that everybody loves. So we'll see.
Yeah. So we got some Black Panther news.
Yeah. Production put on hold. Letitia Wright is, I don't know what she's doing, or apparently she's injured. I think that's what I saw. She's nursing some injury. I gotta believe that's with contention of her views on things that I don't want to get into. And it's just sad. It's sad that, because this is Chadwick Boseman's love letter, and it feels like so much of that energy and passion is being taken away for stuff that's just, the injury thing is something that's completely different, but the other thing that I don't want to talk about, it feels childish almost, and it just feels like you're just taking away from what this film really should be.
Yeah, it's goofy, and it, like you said, it shouldn't be a shadow that's being cast over this movie, because there's already a big shadow being cast over it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the more difficult films probably the most difficult film that they've probably had to do for Marvel Studios. I mean, not logistically, but just with everything that has happened in the past few years.
Right.
He was going to be a cornerstone for this next phase of films.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, given what happened, they can't get rid of the character. It's just how these things go. They respect him and his memory too much to recast him. So they're trying to move on, and things are not being made easy for them.
Yeah, it's a really sad situation. Hopefully this production gets back on track and Ryan Coogler can deliver his vision for Chadwick. That's all I want. That's all
I have total faith in that too, because Ryan Coogler is probably maybe the best young director in Hollywood.
I got some reservations about that, but he's undeniably one of the most impactful directors, period, in the world. I mean, coming off Creed and one of the biggest movies that's ever been made in history. I mean, that's undeniable. So, yeah, hopefully we just need this production to get back on track. It's not for the fan. It's just for the living will and testament of this man. That's all we want.
Yeah. What else we got?
Michael Keaton is being old, and I couldn't be happier because he's revealing secrets left and right. So, what was he on? He was on Jimmy Kimmel, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he was on one of the late night shows with the 1,000 Jimmys that host these late night shows, and he was, leaned back in his chair. They were talking. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel because he's like the biggest Marvel fan out of all of them. And they were just talking, they were talking, and he kind of leans back and he says, he kind of like, it wasn't like a whisper, but it was more of like a reserved. He's like, I'm shooting some Vulture stuff. And Jimmy Kimmel says, oh, and he said, we don't know what it's for, but he said, I think he asked him, what are you doing this week? He's like, I'm shooting some Vulture stuff. And, fans, including me, were like, what do you mean you're shooting some Vulture stuff? I thought Morbius was done. So I took this two ways. One, it could simply be they're just doing Morbius reshoots. But also that lends to the fact that why did he say he's shooting Vulture stuff, not Adrian Toomes stuff? He's shooting Vulture stuff specifically, which kind of leads me to like, is he going to be in that suit again? Could he be the sixth villain in Spider-Man No Way Home? Doubtful. Extremely doubtful.
I don't think so.
Could he be in just more Morbius stuff? Sure. That's probably what it is.
I think that's probably what it is too.
Or could he be in somebody else's project that's coming up that we don't know about? That's what I'm thinking. That I'm kind of teetering between him just doing more Morbius stuff, or he's going to be in some new project with Tom Holland. Maybe a newer Sinister Six, because we're gonna see a version of the Sinister Six in Spider-Man No Way Home. So maybe we're gonna get an MCU, like a tried and true. Like you have Scorpion, we don't know if Mysterio is dead. You have Vulture, and then you have some new villains that are probably gonna start popping up. I can definitely see an MCU Earth Doc Ock pop up, or maybe they hold out on Electro because Jamie Foxx definitely played the heck out of him. I don't care what anybody says. It's that movie. It was not his fault. It was not his fault.
No, it was nobody's fault other than the studio.
Yeah, right. So I can definitely see some different. Maybe we get a Rhino, like a newer Rhino. Spider-Man has so many rogues that they can run through to kind of put together their own version of the Sinister Six. So who knows what he's shooting? We love you, Michael Keaton. Can't wait for that Flash movie to see you. We'll leave that up in the air. We'll kind of ask maybe later what you guys think.
Yeah,
what he's doing. Who he's playing. We know who he's playing, but what he's doing.
Speaking of mystery, Keanu Reeves has been, I guess, he finally has confirmed that he's like, yeah, I'd like to do an MCU thing. Yeah,
he's going to be in the MCU at some point. I mean, they haven't even hit the second half of what Marvel, or the other half of what, Marvel Comics is, and that's the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. That's what I want to run through with you. Who do you think he's playing? Because they're gonna find a way to get him into the MCU.
I think Ghost Rider makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
For kind of what his MO is as an actor, kind of like that stoic and also but like quiet rage, that he possesses.
Sure.
Especially in the John Wick movies, he has that, but he's got a little bit of that in the Matrix too. But mostly the John Wick films, he kind of has that quiet rage about him, and I think that would fit perfectly for a Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider.
Right. Definitely agree on that. That was probably going to be my pick. I mean, just based on his look, I saw somebody said Mr. Sinister, and I thought that was actually a pretty cool one. Maybe just give him a little bit more of a science background, but still, it's like that kind of stoic. I mean, the only thing about Mr. Sinister is he's a little bit more verbose than everybody else. Like, he kind of, the way he talks is like a little bit more kind of like animated, but I mean, I feel like that can just be a subtle adjustment. But that Ghost Rider one's perfect. The only other one I can think is Silver Surfer. Just the way he acts, like you said, it fits his MO. He's kind of like this reserved, it's the reserved stoic type. That's also who Silver Surfer is. So
I think I'd like him to be just somebody a little more grounded. Yeah. Not that Ghost Rider is that grounded, but he's more grounded than Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Who's this cosmic entity.
Right.
Who's a naked silver guy on a surfboard.
Yeah. For the simpletons out there, that's who Silver Surfer is.
And you're not gonna CGI over Keanu Reeves.
Yep, I thought the same. Yeah, you're not gonna hide Keanu Reeves.
I mean, you're gonna CGI him if he's Ghost Rider with the skull and the flames, but for the most part, he's
not
just
going to go
Johnny
method
Blaze.
acting and just light his head on fire.
He's not Jared Leto.
Okay, Jared Leto. Please don't make him do that, because he would do it.
Yeah, but I think that's cool. I think we're getting into this neat period where these major actors are actively petitioning to be in the Marvel Universe.
And it's funny that you say that too, because there was the time where they were petitioning, and I think it's because they had so many solo movies that they can gear people towards. And this, I want to think like 2013 is when this started happening. So like all these A-list actors are like, maybe I could play this big time superhero and get these checks that some of these other guys that weren't A-list actors at the moment, or Robert Downey Jr.'s case, just coming off some bad stuff in your life, or Chris Evans being the funny guy, and then Chris Hemsworth not being an A-list actor and turning themselves into all that we know them for today. So I can definitely see. And the other part of that is, I thought about this when I was watching Loki. The MCU seems more in tune with art a little bit more than it did before. So I can definitely see some other people being, I mean, Jonathan Majors is a great pickup because he's about to be a megastar in Hollywood. Like I said, I don't know if you saw Harder They Fall, but that A-list squad having him as the lead kind of is telling. And I mean, we don't know if he's going to be just straight up the Thanos of this new phase, but I mean, he's playing one of the biggest Avengers villains there's ever been in these new set of movies too. So now I really want to see what other actors are kind of enticed to come play some of these roles.
I mean, they just got Angelina Jolie.
And they got Mahershala Ali. They got Oscar winners left and right now. So yeah, there's opportunity for a lot of people. I think probably the biggest one is going to come out of these X-Men movies. I can see them putting together like they could put together a really A-list cast for just Professor X and Magneto, and then I can see them going like no name for everybody else, or just like lesser actors or younger actors, and then just developing them the same way they did like Chris Hemsworth.
That's probably the smart thing, because
I agree.
The thing is, everybody's going to be looking at that Wolverine casting.
I got a thought on that. I hope they right away don't do Wolverine. I can wait. I don't think they're going to do that based on like business and marketing, because that's one of the main sells of the X-Men is Wolverine. However, I hope they kind of follow the way they did in the comics. So it was like the Stan Lee run for a little bit, and then it was just, I think, what was it, like 94 issues or like 64 issues, and I think they just repeated the issues for 30 something of them, and it was what we saw in First Class, but with the classic X-Men. So I think the first team was Beast, Jean Grey, Iceman, Cyclops, and Angel. So that was the first team with Professor X, and then they get trapped on Krakoa, and then it's like Thunderbird, Storm, Wolverine. Like, it was kind of like a global version of them. And I think that would be really interesting to have like this first team. You have your core. You do that for the first movie. You just set the X-Men up, all these younger actors, and then the second movie, you bring in Wolverine. Maybe you do a solo Wolverine show before, and then you have him join them, so we can see kind of some of the things that he was doing before. So
yeah, and also heat up somebody new.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, the biggest actor that I would go is somebody like maybe like Taron Egerton. I've given my campaign. You know who my number one? I'm gonna get some hate for this. You know who my number one campaign for him at this moment? There's somebody probably that's gonna come out of the woodwork. Zac Efron did this show, and he's shorter too. And like Zac Efron put on a lot of muscle. He had this like grizzly beard. I'm like,
I can see it.
Yeah, that he had the look down. The voice is different, but I mean that's just acting. You can
yeah,
you could try something. Yeah, they're professionals at this. So yeah, that's my Zac Efron and Taron Egerton are kind of my two right now for Wolverine.
Yeah, those are good choices. Is there anything else?
No, that was my X-Men rant. No, I don't got anything else. I want to talk some Hawkeye. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it. This is somehow became like my most anticipated Disney Plus show.
Right? And it came at a good place too. So we got the craziness and the anticipation and hype for WandaVision, and then we got this grounded version with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Is Chris Evans in this?
Yeah, it's Chris. No, he's not.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier brackets. Is Chris Evans going to be in this?
Yeah.
No.
Then we got an unexpected cosmic journey with Loki. I was not expecting, and I think that's the best show that they've done so far.
I could have been more wrong about that show. I thought it was just going to be Doctor Who but Loki, and it wasn't that at all.
This was like they went on this soul-searching journey. He turned good. I mean, Jonathan Majors showed up at the end, which was, I'll never forget. I was in my living room. I think I was off that day. I had no expectation for the final because of WandaVision. I had no type of expectation. I thought it was just going to be another version of, I thought it was going to be classic Loki. I thought it was going to be Richard E. Grant. He was just going to be, I thought he was going to be He Who Remains. So I thought they were just going to do it like that. But then He Who Remains would be Loki because, that's the whole variant thing. And then freaking Jonathan Majors stepped out and I said, excuse me? This is amazing. And there was no action in that whole episode, and somehow it was one of my favorite things they had ever done in the last, 12 years it's been? It was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and then we got the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Black Widow, we got Shang-Chi, we got the Eternals. Pretty good all around for those three. Like, if you just clump them together, I think Shang-Chi is kind of head and shoulders the standout of those three films. You got What If, which is their first foray into animation, which was pretty good.
And the multiverse. Which is going to be big within the next couple of months. Which
was pretty good. And now we're getting Hawkeye. And I'm trying to pinpoint exactly when I had kind of like a feeling that this was going to be good. I honestly think it was when Haley Steinfeld was cast. And I was like, oh, okay.
So I knew it was going to be good. And then I saw the first trailer. And
the first trailer, yeah.
Yeah, sold.
That nailed it for me.
And I think what it was, too, for me, I don't know about you, it just felt fun. That was the immediate reaction I had, is Eternals was so serious, which is fine. Like, this is fine. This is what the MCU kind of was and where it was. Fine, cool. It's fun. Thank you, because Eternals, not so fun. What else do we have? WandaVision. Fun show to start.
Fun show, and then was not fun.
Yeah, it was not fun. Captain...
It's Denzel from Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Not so fun now, is it?
Not so fun now, is it? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Not fun.
Not fun.
Not fun.
Besides the banter.
Shang-Chi had a lot of fun. Way more emotional at the end than I thought it would be. What else do we have? Black Widow. Not too much fun.
No, like Mission Impossible.
Right. And we don't mean fun as that there was no fun in these. There's a lot of fun in these movies. It's just overall the
tone.
The tone is not fun. This show is selling itself on being a Christmas show, and I couldn't be happier. It's amazing. Amazing I think it's the marketing for the show also, and we're going to talk about that when we get into the inspiration for this show, but I mean the marketing sell is just perfect. It's amazing.
It's kind of getting out the best parts of Renner as Hawkeye.
Yeah, this is what he needed this to, I think.
It's his being this kind of just guy who is just kind of over it.
Yeah.
And he just wants to go home and just retire.
Yeah.
And just be done.
Yeah, he was the most human out of all the Avengers. Even Natasha, even more, He's the one with the family. He's the one that could have hung it up and just raised his kids.
He's the one who everyone thought he was going to die in Age of Ultron because he had a family.
I remember that. Oh, definitely.
They're like, oh, we're humanizing Hawkeye?
Yeah.
He gave one of the best motivational speeches in the entire MCU when he hyped up Wanda in Age of Ultron.
It was one of the most meta things in the whole MCU. He said, there are flying robots and I have bow and arrows. None of this makes sense. It's one of my favorite parts of that whole movie. The city is flying. I have a bow and arrow. Yeah. None of this makes sense. But I go out there because I'm an Avenger.
Because it's my job.
Yeah, an Avenger he is. And some people like to copy these Avengers. And this is where we get Kate Bishop. Haley Steinfeld being cast was an absolute stroke of genius, because when this show is done and like we get into our hype analysis of everything, because that's what we all do these days, she's gonna be the A of A list, I think, when this show is done.
Yep.
I wouldn't even be surprised if Jeremy Renner just says, I'm done. She could be Hawkeye now, and then if they continue to this series, which I think they are going to make this series more than just one season. I don't think this is going to be a one-off. I think this show is going to be super successful. People are going to love it. It's Christmas time too, so everybody's a little happier. And I could definitely see Haley Steinfeld just being the new Hawkeye in the MCU and just leading some teams, which I also want to get into a little bit.
Yep. I think the chemistry between them is going to sell the show.
Oh, yeah.
From what we've seen of it so far, I think that chemistry is probably going to be pretty brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
They're a perfect match for each other.
Yeah, they are.
It's Renner being this grumpy kind of old, just like, leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And then there's her who's just this like energetic puppy dog who's just so excited to be a superhero now.
Right.
Even though she's not actually a superhero.
Right. It's amazing. Haley Steinfeld's a star. And the setup is going to be great, too. So we got some other characters that are coming in this show. So we're going to get the introduction to Kate Bishop, her mother, Eleanor Bishop, which is also a big one because they have a lot to do in that Matt Fraction run. So Yelena Belova, end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or the end of Black Widow. Hey, Hawkeye killed your sister. Wrong, but that's what she believes. So we looked at the IMDb. She's going to be in 4 episodes, which is I thought she was just going to be in 1 or 2. I thought she was. So like I said last episode, I can kind of feel this new Avengers team forming. I can feel it. So Yelena's probably going to fight them. I can't wait for that fight, because what I'm thinking is going to happen is she's gonna fight Kate. That's probably how they're gonna do it. And Kate's probably gonna get her butt whooped by her because she's not a trained assassin. She just watches game tape like a high school basketball player. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. I guarantee you Hawkeye's gonna step in, maybe even for some non-conflict resolution. Maybe she just thinks the whole time, like, they don't even resolve it, that she killed Natasha, or that he killed Natasha this whole time. That would be interesting.
I'm sure it's gonna get resolved.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just
they'll fight, and then they'll be like, then they're gonna chat.
They're gonna punch each other, and then they're gonna be mates.
Yeah, they're gonna chat. Shout out Weekly Planet.
Yeah,
they're gonna chat, and then Hawkeye's gonna be like, whoa,
yeah,
whoa. Listen,
I didn't kill your sister. I loved your sister.
Yeah, she chucked herself off a cliff for me.
Yeah, see the Soul Stone,
and she would have done that for anybody.
Yeah.
Not even you, probably, at the time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely not. They wouldn't have got the stone. If she jumped off the cliff, they wouldn't have got the stone.
Yeah.
Red Skull would have looked at them awkwardly. Been like, ooh, I guess she didn't love her.
So, yeah, that's kind of the backdrop for this. You want to talk inspiration?
Yeah. I mean, one of the best comic runs you can find, period. And it's one of those... I know it's in Marvel Comics, but it almost feels indie in the nature that they made it. I kind of look at that as the Mr. Miracle run from DC that I talk about sometimes, that was written by, it's not these like gigantic titans of industry at the time that are working on comics. It was not lower levels, not the right word. They were just smaller, writers. So Matt Fraction, I forget what year it was. I think it was either like 2011 or 2013. And David Aja, who illustrated it, gave this kind of grounded, this very meta story about just Hawkeye moving back to New York. He owns the apartment complex, I'm pretty sure, because he's an Avenger. Makes sense that he has some money. I guess Falcon doesn't get any money, but I guess Hawkeye gets some money. And the run's amazing. It's hilarious. It's like a comedy run, but it's so brutal. Like, I think it starts out with Hawkeye getting thrown out of a building and he hits the car, and just that's where you got a lot of inspiration from the show, from the promo images, because I'm pretty sure Jeremy Renner has like the tape over his nose, which he has in the comic. He's all patched up and stuff. It's great. So the main things are, you got the Tracksuit Mafia, who are ... run by somebody. They're being funded by somebody is a better term to use. And we're gonna get there in a second because it's a pretty big. There's some Netflix people that possibly are coming back. You got David Aja's art, which is great. It's very grounded. It's very like grizzled, if that's a good word to use. It's not normal. Like, it's not a normal way of illustrating it. It kind of lends credence to kind of how the comic feels. It's a great feeling that it gives you. But he adopts Kate Bishop as his mentor, or his mentee. It's such a fun run. It's hilarious. There's a great issue where there's no dialogue. It's just like, I think there's just a little bit, and you see it. You saw that kind of trailer where they're driving the car, and it's just that Alfonso Cuarón spin shot from inside the car, 360 shot. Amazing. They pulled that right from the comic. Just when you talk inspiration, I think this is probably the closest inspiration they've gotten for something, because even Civil War was It was Civil War name only. Really. Yeah, it was Captain America Civil War for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I want them to do more of this, specifically with the Disney Plus shows. Like, sit down with a comic book and be like, how do we adapt this?
I'm looking at you, Daredevil.
I kind of want them to take this kind of approach, especially because adapting a comic to a film is difficult because you only have 2.5, maybe 3 hours at the most to adapt a story. It usually doesn't work in terms of faithfulness. I'm not saying that the movies are bad. I'm saying just faithfulness to the comic. Age of Ultron wasn't...
You mean the Week of Ultron?
Yeah. Wasn't an Age of Ultron. You talked about Civil War. Even the Infinity Saga, the Infinity War.
Infinitely different.
Right. So this, you take My Life as a Weapon and just adapt it, and that's what they're doing. I think it works. I think it's gonna make people fall in love with Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's one thing you get Haley Steinfeld, cool, she's probably gonna be the new Hawkeye, but it's more important that Jeremy Renner gets some love.
Yeah, it's very meta in the one scene that they showed where Kate Bishop's like, you suck because you don't have branding. Like, nobody is your... You're nobody's favorite Avenger except for mine.
Right.
And I think that's very meta for, like, Hawkeye in the MCU. Like, everyone looks at Iron Man, everyone looks at Captain America.
There's even that scene in one of the promos where they're walking on the street and Hawkeye I think Kate says, hey, look, it's you, because there's a whole bunch of Avengers around, and he goes, no, that's Katniss Everdeen, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody cares about this guy.
So I think this show is going to be that. Like, this is going to be Hawkeye's brand. It's going to be maybe a love letter to Renner.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Could you see him dying in this show?
Unless they pull the wool over our eyes with the tone, and they do like a tone switch at the end of the season, it feels too slapstick and too fun for there to be, not that there won't be stakes, but this just, like I've been saying this from the beginning, it feels like Die Hard. And it's going to end with him showing up on Christmas Day, like disheveled, but like with like maybe like a haphazard like gift in his hand, like for his family. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
No, definitely.
I think that's how. I mean, it's coming out on like it's gonna end like around Christmas time. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get bummed out.
Right.
I think Spider-Man's gonna do that for us.
I mean, Spider-Man might give revitalization to life itself by the time that movie comes out.
So I think this is just gonna be a nice, I think, what is it, 8 episodes?
Six episodes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a nice little fun jaunt. 6 episodes of just wall to wall, just chaos and action and jokes. I think that's what this is going to be.
I can't wait for the Tracksuit Mafia to say bro every 5 seconds.
I mean, there's a group of villains in this called the Tracksuit Mafia.
Right. And they're more kind of crime bossish, but they own the apartment complex. That's basically what it is, and they just run it, and they're bad people.
Like, if you read this comic book run, like, yeah, it's brutal and
it's so meta though.
Yeah, it's meta and it's silly, and that's what this is going to be. It's going to be meta and it's going to be silly. It's going to be brutal in spots. Not brutal, but
I can definitely see some stuff happening.
Yeah.
I mean, to give you a little bit more background, I mean, this comic won the Eisner Award, which is basically a film winning Best Picture. That's the easiest comparison. Like, it was critically acclaimed when it came out. So, for Hawkeye of all people, we're in for some good things because they're pulling a lot from it. So, I said that the Tracksuit Mafia, they're there. And in the comic, you find out later in the issues, somebody is funding these guys.
Yeah,
and
you have a group of goons in New York City that are being funded by someone.
Yeah.
There's only usually one person that's funding them.
And it's not Spider-Man because he's broke.
And it's not Tony Stark.
Yeah, because he's dead.
Yep.
It's, hey, spoilers, I guess, if this comes true.
This is like a prediction.
Yeah, that's gonna come true.
Maybe.
Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio's back as Kingpin. Thank God. Amazing. Yeah, and this is kind of a stroke of genius by Marvel. So, like, the big report is that he's going to be in the last 2 episodes, I think they said, or something like that. So, stroke of genius, because if it is true that Charlie Cox is coming back to play Daredevil, or Matt Murdock specifically, because he's not going to be Daredevil in that movie, and having him come back on top of that, too, I mean, that just smashes the door wide open. I don't know if it's gonna. I hope it's the same version of them from the shows. I hope they don't just throw away what they worked on Daredevil for. I think that would be too cheap and just sell short some of the best television you can see. And my only issue with that is the other shows, because Luke Cage season 2, not good. Iron Fist, the entirety, not that great. Jessica Jones fell off. Like, you're dealing with pulling your heavy hitters, your good stuff.
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna just kind of pull certain elements from the Netflix stuff and apply it, but not refer to the past, really. They might refer to Kingpin and Daredevil having kind of a past, but I don't think it'll be as personal as it was in the Netflix shows. I think they could establish it as like Daredevil's kind of like an irritant at this point, and kick it off from there.
Yeah.
And then, there's nothing wrong with rehashing and reestablishing animosity between those two characters.
And it's going to get a little interesting, too, because another huge character from this show, and that's getting her own show, is Echo. So Echo is basically Taskmaster, but she's got a lot more to do with Kingpin, and I think that's where we're going to find Kingpin, is her finding out, because in the comic, Kingpin kills her father. We'll see. Either it's that, it may just be Kingpin's funding the Tracksuit Mafia, or they're working for him. That's where he comes into the show. I think in the comic, if I'm not mistaken, there's this auction that happens, and you find
Kingpin
out that
loves an auction.
Yeah, and then you find out Kingpin's he's one of the big bads at the auction, and that's where you could see Echo stepping in there. She's getting her own show, and if If I was a betting man, I'm going to say that I think they're going to make Kingpin, because they're saying that Charlie Cox is also going to be in that show. I think they're going to make Kingpin the big bad of that show. And then because her and Daredevil have a relationship on top of that. So if Charlie Cox gets his Daredevil show, it's probably going to be Kingpin. They're just going to keep Vincent D'Onofrio. Obviously, they're going to incorporate some more stuff, because we've seen that for 2 seasons of television in Daredevil season 1 and season 3. So you don't want to be too repetitive. And Daredevil's got a lot more than just Kingpin to do. So
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to get, obviously, a lot of attention if it does happen. And I think he works as kind of, we saw it more, and we saw this a lot in Daredevil season 2, with him being kind of like the man in the shadows and like the master manipulator. Yep. He's more of a in your face villain in season 1 and season 3. And I think we could see him more in this Hawkeye show as he was in like the season 2 capacity.
Yeah, and
he's like the puppet master.
Right, and then the Echo show is probably going to be him coming out of the shadows and acclimating himself to being that kind of, big screen, more kind of, villainous and like movie type of big bad, versus like one of those shows where it's like that those shows are so Daredevil specifically, so intricate and so character focused, down to like minute details, versus like a movie will be like a little bigger, like thing that fits the big screen.
Because what they're gonna have to do with him is kind of ramp him up, because instead of being just an antagonist for Daredevil, he's got to be, if he's going to be in the MCU, he's got to be an antagonist for like the entire population.
Yeah, it's got to be to the point where even people like Spider-Man notice him, and like,
because he's a big Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's a huge Spider. That's where he debuted, or in Spider-Man comics. So that's gonna be. I mean, that would be the way I would do it. You need Vincent D'Onofrio and Tom Holland have to meet. I think that's just the smartest thing. They have to meet at some point. I hope these new, and we'll talk about this when we do our Spider-Man No Way Home review, the future. I think for these next phase of Spider-Man movies, I kind of wanted them to kind of do it how they're doing it in the Spider-Man PlayStation games. They do a really good job, because there's 3 aspects to Spider-Man. There's the Avengers level stuff that he has to deal with. There's his own rogues that he has to deal with. And then there's the crime stuff, just like Batman. Batman has the crime stuff. He has the Justice League stuff. And then he has his specific rogues. So I think Tom Holland could start to, because we haven't seen that yet. I don't think we've seen that in any of the Spider-Man movies. It's the crime stuff he has to deal with. And that would lend credence to a little bit more of kind of pulling him back and putting him in New York City. I know I said to you, I love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man because he's the best in New York City Spider-Man that there's been, in my opinion. So I kind of want to see Tom Holland hit that, like, in New York, dealing day to day with something I can't just call the Avengers to fight, or something, it's got to be like, I can't just fight this as Spider-Man, or these people are committing crimes that are organized crime. Like, it's difficult and it's interesting. So I kind of want to, it's also something to help him grow up too.
Yeah, scale him back a bit.
Yeah.
Just let him patrol New York for a bit.
Yeah.
Instead of pulling a ferry together, or fighting a giant monster in London, or fighting Thanos.
Yeah. Yeah. He's seen a lot, man. Let him be a kid, or a young adult.
Yeah. So what else about this Hawkeye show?
I mean, the future, there's 2 things. I want to talk some theories, but first, the Young Avengers, the future. So we see Kate Bishop. That's the big part. Haley Steinfeld's coming on to play this titular character as of recent. We got the other ladies and gentlemen running around the MCU, or about to run around the MCU. So we have Kate Bishop. We got Elijah Bradley from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I mean, I think somebody pointed out that, like, he's really been getting into shape, like superhero shape, the guy that played Elijah Bradley. So maybe he just likes to take care of himself. I think he's getting ready to play Patriot. We have Cassie Lang being recast in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So she's probably going to be one of the Young Avengers. Heck, they might get a younger version of Jonathan Majors to play Nathaniel Richards and join them too. We have the twins from WandaVision. There's a lot of young people that are starting to come together.
You got young Loki.
Young Loki, yeah. I think they're going to bring him back. I definitely think. With Alligator Loki, I think that would be a hilarious combo to add to that team. And then we're missing one. Are we? I'll think of it.
I mean, Yelena.
I think she's too old.
Maybe.
Oh, Miles Morales. That was one of my Spider-Man No Way Home theories, that one of the post-credit scenes is going to set him up to be in these movies, because Tom Holland's been talking a little weird lately about the future of Spider-Man. So
yeah.
I mean,
I think the Young Avengers thing isn't really even a secret. I mean, it's smart the way that they're doing it. Yeah. They're kind of building it in the background.
Yeah. Did you see that clip when they were doing I think they were with Brandon Davis from comicbook.com, and it was like all like Feige was there and they were doing their press junket, and I think he asked Haley Steinfeld, do you think it was either like, could you lead the Young Avengers, or do we have Young Avengers in the work? And she just looked back at Kevin Feige, and then she just looked forward and she said, I don't know. And I was just like, yeah, he had the snipers ready for her. But let me get your so I want one just outside of the box theory, and just one theory that you probably think is going to come true.
One outside the box one? I think we're going to see Daredevil
in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
at the end.
That's your outside of the big. Okay,
or he'll be referred to. In some capacity.
All right.
Yeah. What's
your normal, like, what's your probably could happen theory?
I think, let's see. Oh, man. What do I think is going to happen? I kind of already spoiled it in that, and like, I think Hawkeye's going to retire. I think Renner's going to be done.
Okay.
I think that's kind of what this is leading to. And if there is a season 2 of this show, I think it's just going to be revolving around Kate.
Okay.
And I think Hawkeye will be done.
Okay, cool. I like that. All right, I guess this is just my normal theory. I think he's going to die. I think they're going to kill Jeremy Renner, and it's going to be sad. And it'll be a nice send-off to him. He has somebody that can take the mantle up. It's going to be kind of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier in that sense, where they're kind of... but they're going to skip episode 1 through 5 and just get to 6, so Kate's already Hawkeye. I think my big theory is they're going to start the beginning of the Young Avengers in this show. I think, and also, if I'm going to add to that, Val's been working in the shadows for some time, so I also think she's going to show back up and try to get 2 teams working at once. Maybe she also tries to maybe Yelena comes back to her, says, hey, you lied to me, he really didn't kill my sister.
Here we go, I can go outside the box on you. What if Yelena shows up side by side with U.S. Agent to fight Hawkeye and Kate Bishop?
That would be amazing. I would love that so much. Yes.
How about that?
Like that. Because, I mean, he doesn't even have a shield at this point.
No. He has a suit. He has a new suit.
His Walmart shield got broken. And I wouldn't be surprised if they had some more vibranium. Or maybe they introduced something like adamantium at this point and just get him a new shield, because he's going to need one.
Like, maybe Yelena's fighting Kate, and then Hawkeye steps in, and he's fighting Yelena, and then clunk! He gets, like, whacked in the back of the head, and there's U.S. Agent.
I could definitely see that. That would be amazing. So yeah, some setup. I think that's what this show's probably gonna, because Loki was like the biggest setup of holy crap. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the possible new leader of the Avengers, and just who the new Captain America, because that's such a big figurehead in the world that they live in, and in our world too. And WandaVision was Scarlet Witch is probably going to be evil now because she lost her kids and her husband, and she's sad.
Just keep that tucked away. Yeah. Because when Elizabeth Olsen comes back to the MCU, it's going to be a big freaking deal.
Oh my gosh. I'm hearing... I guess I should have included this in the news portion. I'm hearing we could get that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness teaser with Spider-Man, which makes sense because it's a multiverse thing. Yeah. So,
I guess that's all we have to say about Hawkeye. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
I'm really anxious about these first 2 episodes. I'm ready to see. And I think it's interesting that they're doing 2 episodes besides they want to get it out of the way before Spider-Man. Yeah. I think that second episode is probably going to have a pretty big stinger.
Did Loki do 2 episodes to start?
I don't think so.
I can't remember. I can't.
No, I don't think it did. I don't think any of them have.
No, it didn't. It definitely didn't.
Yeah. So I think that second episode is going to have a pretty... Maybe that's the first episode that Yelena is in. Like at the end of the episode, maybe?
Yeah, because I'm going to... Because 4 episodes is a lot. I thought about this because I guess the structure that you look at...
2/3 of the season.
Yeah, because if you look at the structure, that's... it's the same amount as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's 6 episodes apiece.
I could see her being in at the end of 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a little tease at the end of 2, right? And then she's just not in 6, because why should she need to... It's
she wouldn't be in the finale,
Yeah, I think Val's going to show up. I think that's just going to be her thing. She's going to be the evil Nick Fury that shows up at the end of everything,
Yeah, for
sure.
Until
they get their Dark Avengers.
I think it was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of behind the scenes that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in, and she kind of talks about that, how she thought it was cool that Val is like the evil Nick Fury. Like she literally said that like in the behind the scenes. So I think that's kind of what they're gearing up for. Let's talk about Stargirl.
Yeah.
switch lanes.
Yeah.
To the DC universe.
One young adult new hero that's taking their inspiration from a former hero to another.
Yeah, that's a good segue. Good segue. I didn't think of a way to link these two topics, but I think you just did it.
There you go. That's what I'm here for.
So we've talked about Stargirl season 1 before, and how much we both really liked that show. It was one of these shows ported from the the artist formerly known as the DC Universe.
It's got Big Daddy
streaming
money.
service.
It's got HBO money.
Yeah. It was, what was it? It was Titans, it was Swamp Thing.
And Superman.
Well,
Superman's like, it has money. It has the money from there.
I'm talking about the shows that were ported from DC Universe.
Yes.
Yeah, so Titans, Swamp Thing, which is no longer in production.
R.I.P. Swamp Thing.
R.I.P., which was not bad.
No, it wasn't.
Maybe we'll do an episode on that just because I feel like nobody's seen it.
Yeah.
And then Stargirl, which Titans is still going strong into season 4. Stargirl season 1 I was pleasantly surprised by the first season.
It was like one of those things that it just came out of left field. I thought, because when you see it, you're like, okay, another CW show. And I've had my issues with CW over the last, 4 or 5 years now?
Probably, yeah.
Of just, it's cheese. We knew it was cheesy from the start, and it was more of an endearing cheesy. Now it feels like willful ignorance cheesy. That's maybe a little bit too extensive, but you know what I mean? It felt just, some of the things they were doing, it just felt just like a joke, and why do we need this?
Yeah. So, and particularly for heroes that didn't need that kind of tone. Right. Which I think they appear to be course correcting with Superman and Lois and Stargirl. I think they're kind of getting away from the formula. Right. A little bit.
But yeah, Stargirl season 2. So season 1, we ended. Eclipso was the big tease for season 2. We find out Starman's alive.
Yeah, so first of all, the first thing I just want to say, because you just said Eclipso and Starman in the same sentence, and I think that's what this show is so good with, is taking these characters that nobody has heard of and making them, popular and making them people that viewers can fall in love with. Stargirl is obviously created by Jeff Johns, inspired by his late sister, who tragically passed away in a plane crash. So that's where the Stargirl inspiration comes from. The character of Courtney Whitmore comes from that. Jeff Johns is very hands-on with this show.
Yes, he is.
I know there's a lot of stuff going on with Jeff Johns that we don't have to get into, but
I like creator. So a lot of people don't like creator. See, I look at Jeff Johns from his Green Lantern and his New 52 work. Like, that's the only lens I have of Jeff Johns, because that Green Lantern run is one of the greatest comic runs ever. It spanned like 100-something-ish. Like, it's just amazing storytelling with twists and turns, and it went down to some grounded real world stuff to, I'm talking like the most intergalactic of intergalactic issues that you would have to deal with. And you can kind of feel that same sense from Stargirl. Like, it deals with it even gets down to like some high school drama that really some women and girls have to deal with, all the way up to this interdimensional being showing up to try to consume Earth. So I kind of like that dichotomy there.
Yeah, and we kind of touched upon it. This is just a good young adult show.
Yeah, it is.
It touches upon a whole lot of issues throughout. It's very diverse cast that all kind of get their own shine. And yeah, the first season was, it still follows, conventions. So the first season is her coming of age, kind of becoming a hero. And that's where season 1 kind of ends, is she kind of accepts the mantle, that's pretty much what that whole season is about, because it starts with her, thinking that she has to be Stargirl because she thinks that Starman is her father, and then Rey from The Last Jedi ever, and they tell her that she's nobody, she's nobody, but her dad was not Starman.
Thank you for that.
Some bum.
I like that.
He was just a deadbeat.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's great, because she has to make a hero's decision. Was the whole time I was doing this, or was I actually trying to help people? And that's what a hero is. Can you just help people, not based off personal want? I mean, that's the whole Spider-Man thing. Is it personal want, or are you being driven by the need just to help people?
Well, that's where season 2 kind of picks up, is she's a superhero, but she's kind of overdoing it.
Yeah, I love that aspect about this season. Right in the beginning, the first couple episodes do a really good job. She just wants to do this all day, all night long. This season it's kind of like the juxtaposed version of Spider-Man 2. It still beats the crap out of her this whole season, which is good. It beats the crap out of the whole city in this season, which we'll get into. I love when second projects in the middle. You look at anything. I mean, Captain America, Winter Soldier. I mean, the whole foundation he was built on was stripped from him. What's some other twos that we got? Guardians of the Galaxy, the whole reason that he was doing this thing, he found his father and his whole life was just ripped out from him. Spider-Man 2, the Spider-Man No More story. I mean, he just got the crap beaten out of him in the second movie. Even the Amazing Spider-Man 2, he found out about his parents and
Gwen
that kind
Stacy.
Gwen Stacy dies. Like, the second chapter of any trilogy should really beat the crap out of any hero that they have.
And hers comes from an interesting place because, like you said, she just wants to be Stargirl.
Yeah.
And even her friends who are like in the JSA with her are like, dude, like,
we don't have to be. We were doing this out of necessity.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this.
like we live in the middle of freaking nowhere. There's we're not dealing with street crime. We don't live in New York City.
Right.
You know, like we're kids. Like it's summer. Like we want to have a summer vacation.
Yeah, and the tagline for the season was summer school. So this is one of, like, if you look at like character arcs, that's one of the prices she has to pay. So her being Stargirl this whole time forced her to go to summer school because she wasn't doing good in school. And it was just a great way to kind of get her in a setting where you don't think a main character would be. Like, what main character do you know would have to go to summer school like that? I love
it's
that.
Very
it's
like
great.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, right.
Like her and Yolanda are in summer school, and then Rick is skipping.
So he was there, but the
He was
teacher,
supposed to be there?
the teacher accused him of cheating because he's Rick Tyler and he's supposed to be this bad boy, but he actually
Is
cares.
really smart.
Yeah, he's just actually really smart. So really, yeah, there's just, this show gets a whole lot more like TLC than other shows. Like, I mean, I talked to you before we hopped on about The Flash and how it feels like it's just being churned out. Whatever, it doesn't matter what happened before; they just don't care as long as they just need to get to the next thing. Like, you can feel actual consequences for decisions people are making in the show.
A lot of this harkens back to season 1 stuff, especially with Yolanda.
Yeah.
And her killing Brainwave and how that would actually traumatize like a 16, 17-year-old girl.
Like, she has that's her whole arc. She has PTSD and she really doesn't like that. She doesn't like the idea of Wildcat or the JSA anymore. So it's really good. What was my hot take I had before this?
She's a better character than Courtney.
Which is incorrect. And you know why I say that? Because Courtney needs to bounce off more people than Yolanda does in terms of like personal conflict.
Well, it's also, it's just how the character of Courtney Whitmore is written. Like, she's supposed to be the light in the darkness.
Yeah, she's the main character. Yeah.
But she's also, just like I said, she's the light in the darkness. I mean, that comes through, that's kind of the theme of the whole season, especially when you get to the finale, is that, she wields that cosmic staff for a reason. She wields the power of light because she is, this, kind of enigma of positivity, to the point where it irritates people.
Right.
But, that's who she is.
Yeah, season 1 was about legacies. It was about what we take from other people. Do we change it?
And season 2 kind of reconciles that.
Yeah, especially in kind of the penultimate part of the season. That's where, right when we start getting the JSA's backstory and their time fighting Eclipso, you really harken back to that too. A really good stretch of episodes, in my opinion, too. Kind of coming to the head in the flashback episode where we see the Flash come back.
Yeah, Jay Garrick.
Yeah, Jay Garrick
John
comes
Wesley
back.
Shipp, yep.
Well, I hope they get him for season 3 a little bit more because I think that he would be a really good character to have on a show like that.
Because the way he plays it in the Flash is like kind of like super heroic,
which is Earth, which is the Earth they're on.
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
That's what the Justice Society. That's who they are. They're the Golden Age. That's who it is. So
they're cheesy. They're kind of one-liners and quips, and they're truth, justice, and
And you don't have to stop. It's truth, justice, in the American way. That's who the Justice Society is. So like I said, so we talked Courtney for a little bit. Her arc is all about kind of, she's eager to be Stargirl this whole time, and then once Eclipso shows up, it really is about that light in the dark. It's her counter. That's the perfect villain counter for her is Eclipso, like the emote of dark versus the emote of light.
Yep.
We have Yolanda. We talked about her arc was it was really sad, but it was really beautiful in the way they kind of did it, and it kind of left it open ended. The only thing I wish is they probably should have set up her conflict with Sydney a little earlier, because the punch at the end of the season would have hit a little bit harder, because it was the last 2 episodes that did it. If they did it a little earlier, I know why they did it, because they had a lot of stuff to juggle, and like I think it was episode like I want to say like 7 or 8 till 10 and 11. That's when like that probably should have started, but that's just a minor nitpick
Well, they
thing.
put Cindy in the Shadowlands for
Oh my
4
gosh!
episodes.
Yeah, let's talk Cindy. She's an interesting character.
Very interesting character.
She's got a really messed up really messed up. I mean, Dragon King was just experimenting on her. She killed her mother on accident. Really good story beat for that as well. It's sad, man. She kind of, I'm trying to think of a character. I mean, it's like Winter Soldier in that fact, but she's conscious, but she's doing all these things that she probably didn't.
She's a kid.
She's a kid.
That's the thing about all these characters you have to remember, is they're going through all these things and they're all kids.
Yeah.
And I think that is handled exceptionally well, that they're heroes, but they're kids. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think it's something that sometimes gets lost when they introduce kind of younger characters on these superhero shows, is you know, they're kids first. They're kids before they're heroes. You know?
And I think that really gets expressed through Jakeem and Mike this season, which is great.
100%.
The kid they got to play Jakeem is really good. I kind of hope they make him a member, like a full-out member, like a season regular at that point. I think he's cool. And we'll get into it when we get into theories at the end. I think one of the 4 of them, I mean, Courtney, well, obviously not Courtney, but the 3 of them, Beth, Rick, or Yolanda, I think one of them's going to die in season 3. And then they're going to try to replace them with somebody else. But we got a new character. Mm-hmm. We got the new Green Lantern, I guess. We got Alan Scott's daughter. Yep. What was her name?
Jade?
Jade, yes.
Yes.
Which she's named in the comics. I just had a brain fart for a second. But how did you like her a lot?
I don't think we saw enough of her to make a distinction.
They Captain Marveled her from Endgame.
They really did.
She showed up in the beginning. She had a cool little story that they had going, and she disappeared for the whole season, and then she showed back up.
Until they needed her.
Until they needed her again.
They're like, well, there's one person who can help us.
Boss, what are they firing at? I don't know. And then Jade just swoops down.
Yeah, it was the same type of deal.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I think has a lot to do with also budgetary limitations.
Sure, yeah.
Because Green Lantern has some wild powers.
Yeah.
So you can't... I mean, she did the one thing with the car, and then that was pretty much all the Green Lanterning that she did. Everything else was just like a green laser beam. Mm-hmm. So...
Right. Yeah, I understand why.
Yeah.
Who else we got? We got Rick. So Rick had an interesting
arc. Rick.
Yeah, angsty Rick. Rick's our favorite character from this show. And the only reason is because he should have been in Boy Meets World. If they put Rick in Boy Meets World, he would be one of the...
He gives off big Sean Hunter vibes.
Yeah, he does. He's so angsty. He fits that teen even though he has a receding hairline. This man is... I said man on purpose.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Those guys are both 26-year-old men in high school.
Yeah, it's great. Like the rest of them, they did a great job. Even Henry from last season, and who was the other one?
The wizard kid?
Yeah.
Who got hit by a bus?
Yeah.
Or a truck?
Joey. Yeah.
Joey Zarek.
Yeah. The two, they all looked like they were in high school. Mm-hmm. Not Rick or Cameron. They look like they...
Cameron looks like Tom Welling.
He really does. Yeah, you know what they look like? They look like they just got off their parents' health insurance because they're too old for it. But jokes aside, Rick had an interesting arc that had to do with Solomon Grundy of all people. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, not of all people, because Solomon Grundy was the one that killed his parents. Supposedly. I don't think any of them are dead. Just based off this season, I don't think anybody's dead anymore. They're just pulling...
Yeah, but he reconciles with that.
He does.
He's... You know, I like the poetry that he finds the humanity in Grundy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's really well done.
And it kind of plays into himself. He found the humanity himself because, I mean, Rick Tyler's this guy Hourman's this guy that's supposed to have just super strength for an hour, just be, the muscle of the JSA essentially. And Rick was dealing with a lot of kind of pain from his uncle too, that wasn't taking care of him properly. Mm-hmm. I mean, the pain it's also about this expectation thing because they fit so well together because they set up in the first episode, this teacher had this expectation of Rick that he was a bad kid and he cheated on his test because he did well. And the expectation for Grundy is that he's just this brute, brainless muscle from the ISA. And that's not who either of them are. And it's just it was just a kind of a beautiful kind of relationship that they had. And
also out of all of them, Jade aside, Rick is the legacy character.
He is, yeah. Because they're actually... quote unquote actually dead.
Yeah.
And Ted, but Ted doesn't know that he doesn't have any relationship to Yolanda, so
right.
So yeah, he's the one that is this, like, he's the he's supposed to succeed the JSA in that fact. Like, he was supposed to become Our Man. Like, the rest of them weren't supposed to become who they became. Like, he was the only one that probably would have been Our Man if it was a different Earth and none of them existed.
Yep, exactly. Speaking of the JSA, two of them are alive. We knew Starman was alive based on the end of last season.
Yeah.
And I know there were some things floating around after that last season. And, well, is it really him? Is he, some type of doppelganger? Or is he like a shapeshifter? Is he seedy? No, he's just Starman.
Yeah, and you get the confirmation in the last episode because he's able to wield the staff in the last episode. I think it would be smart if he tried it and it didn't work. Then it would be like, maybe it isn't him, but it's him. You can tell it's him.
Joel McHale.
Yeah, we love Joel McHale. I've been watching Community. I've never seen Community. I started watching him. He's great. Yeah, love that guy.
Joel McHale is Starman. He seems like he's going to be a big part of season 3.
Yeah, season 3. So season 1 was about legacies. Season 2 was about the lightness and the dark. Season 3 is kind of gearing up to be
everybody gets a mentor.
Yeah, it's like it's everybody's training. Like it's probably going to be old people versus young people. That's where I'm feeling from. And you can kind of get that from Jade in the end credit scene with Mr. Bones. I can't get over. I've read a decent amount of comics. I didn't know who the heck Mr. Bones was. That's probably not the villain. I don't think of season 3. But
oh man,
Keith David's voicing him and playing him.
It goes back to the brilliance of this show is they just pull these random characters that nobody's ever heard of, and they're like,
Thunderbolt.
Guess what? Mr. Bones is going to be a big deal now.
We're talking about an interdimensional being that lives in a pen.
Yep.
Mixed with. I don't know, Henry dying. Like, this is the same show. Like, it's great. I love it.
Big Robin Williams energy from the Thunderbolt.
Oh yeah, definitly.
Big Robin Williams genie energy from Thunderbolt.
That's who he is. That's exactly
more
who
or less. Yeah.
So let's talk about Pat.
Yeah.
Pat. He had a fun arc. He had a fun little arc.
He had a fun arc in. He serves as like the conduit to deconstructing the JSA.
It's also it's deconstructing, and it's also he has to live with what they did, even though he didn't want to go down with it. So like he's guilty. He's like his guiltiness comes from a lie of omission. Like he didn't tell them the whole truth about the JSA because at that point, Courtney specifically, they were looking at the JSA as like these golden age. How like we look at these heroes today, like they're these golden age perfect heroes that do no wrong, and they did the worst wrong you can probably do.
They killed a man.
Yeah, they killed a man.
They killed a man to kill a demon.
Mm-hmm. Didn't work.
Did not Demon's
work.
Back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Eclipso a little bit.
Sure. Eclipso's being played by Digger Harkness from Captain Boomerang from the Arrow show.
Yeah.
Great.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I saw an interview and I was like, hey, that's Captain Boomerang. Not Jai Courtney.
Eclipso. Good villain in the sense of his purpose.
Sure.
Not too menacing, physically. More mental.
Can I disagree with you?
Sure.
He was the most menacing physically, but that was my issue. I told you this before we hopped on. At no point did I ever feel like the JSA had anything for him. Mm-hmm. Like, it was when they fought in the school. I was like, what are they supposed to do against this? Because every time they would hit him, he would just do that, like, energy burst, and they would all just get thrown away. I'm like, how do you even let them touch you? Like, they can't hit you because you just go into that little kid form. Let's talk about the little kid for a little bit.
I hate that kid.
But it's good.
Creepy little kid.
It's good. He's so creepy.
Oh my God, go away.
That kid did really good, though.
Amazing.
He did.
Amazing
His line delivery was actually really good. Like, the trope about child actors, like, we hate them. They don't know what they're doing unless they're, like, Millie Bobby Brown or whatever, but...
Eclipso's a racist for some reason?
Oh, let's get into it. That was nuts. So, it's about midway through the season. Eclipso's running amok throughout Blue Valley. We're having thunderstorms.
Terrorizing people. You don't know what's real.
Yeah.
If you're hallucinating or what's going on.
Fine. You know what this reminds me of? I can't remember what... This is in Marvel. Oh, yeah, it's Red Skull. Like, there's this point, I think it's in the Old Man Logan comic, where, like, Red Skull's starting to, like, take sections and, like, villains just won't go with him because he's a Nazi. Like, it's the same thing. They're like, thanks for taking care of the heroes, but, like, we're not cool because you're a friggin' Nazi.
Well, that kind of happens in this.
Yes.
Cindy puts together the new ISA to take down Courtney because she's got a grudge.
You're right.
And then she's using Eclipso for that. Mm-hmm. And Eclipso, finally shows up and he's like, oh, lady, no, I'm not serving you.
No, yeah.
I've been using you this whole time.
Right.
And that serves as the kind of the conduit for Cindy's inevitable kind of babyface turn at the end of the season when she teams up with the JSA, and then at the end of the season decides she wants to be in the JSA.
Yeah, and that's gonna be. She has the arc that I wish they would have gave to Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker. She has it, man. It's upsetting. Oh, real quick. So
racist Eclipso.
Yeah. So Beth's just. What is she doing? I can't remember what she's doing. She's just out and about. Everybody's getting visions of like bad things that are happening to them or could happen. So the little kid form of Eclipso shows up, and then
but she can see it.
She can see it because of the goggles.
Out the goggles.
Yeah, and when we talk about Beth, there's a big because Lee said Dr. Midnight. Actually, the original Dr. Midnight comes back, so she's just seeing him, and he says, "Look at you. You're the wrong race. You're the wrong gender," and I'm like. Excuse me?
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and then I was like, that's bad. And then he goes, I thought you people were supposed to be athletic. And I said, oh my God. Get this guy out of here. It's just, he gets canceled instead. That's what kills Eclipso. He just gets canceled. That would have been so much better.
Oh, man.
He said, Eclipso racist, world outrage.
Old tweet surface.
old tweet surface from Eclipso. That would have been so much better.
What if those old tweets are revealed?
He got James Gunn. Oh no. That's a small beat. It just came out of left field.
It was so weird.
I think you texted me immediately. You're like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why is Eclipso racist? This is crazy."
Like, we don't need more of a reason to not like him.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah,
we got it. He's evil.
It also didn't make sense because I just thought he just cared about the Shadowlands becoming Earth. I didn't know he cared about that. I didn't know he was racist. It was just,
why does he have to hate black people?
Yeah, I didn't get it. It was crazy.
He's not even white.
No, he's an interdimensional being. He doesn't have a race.
I don't get it, man. But yeah, so Eclipso, menacing.
Yeah, too much, and that's the issue. I never felt any reason why he shouldn't succeed, and then when it got to the finale, it inevitably was very simple. They turned him into a piece of like we said, they turned him into a piece of toast. The show can teeter between a girl having to deal with some really real issues about high school life and some sad things that have to pop up that people have to deal with.
Also, the show's not afraid of killing a kid.
Yeah, they killed multiple children, and then it goes to them turning the main villain into a piece of toast. If this isn't Legends of Tomorrow, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eclipso is a piece of toast, and I hope nobody eats him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Beth and Dr. Midnight. I got an issue with Beth, and we talked about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Anybody can be Dr. Midnight. That's my big issue. Yeah. And I don't think they did a good enough of a job to pinpoint why it's Beth. I know why it's Beth. I just don't think they did a good enough reason. Like, their reasoning wasn't good enough.
I think they did a good job of establishing it in season 1, but didn't really build upon it in season 2.
Her whole season 2 arc is her trying to find Dr. Midnight, and it's her trying to find purpose. That's her whole thing in this season. It's the purpose of finding Dr. Midnight. It's the purpose of her keeping her parents together. It's the purpose of should she be Dr. Midnight. That's her whole thing. It's about purpose. And then, I mean, that lends credence to the Eclipso line when he was super racist and super misogynistic. Like, should a black woman be Dr. Midnight with the JSA? Yes.
Should a black man be Captain America?
We covered this. You saw that article that said that in the new Captain America movie that Sam's gonna earn. Did you guys not watch the entirety of Falcon and the Winter Soldier? That's the whole point.
Yeah, but anyway, no. So guess spoiler alert: Dr. Midnight's alive.
Yeah,
he just got sent to the Shadowlands by the Shade, who's not a bad guy.
He's Loki.
Yeah, right down to the top hat and the glasses and the cane.
Yeah. He's great.
He's British.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the Shade before we get back to Beth. I love that guy. He is great as the Shade.
He's so British.
Yeah, he is. He's like the 1960s British. Like, it's amazing. He chews up every bit of scenery. It's wonderful when he's on screen giving that, like, really grand dialogue and,
He's very, like, verbose. And,
yeah. It's amazing.
He's very, like, magnanimous and very, like, he feels like a presence.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense because that's essentially what the Shade is. He's a specter. Really, he's a great fake death.
Oh yeah, it's great. And then he's like sitting there like drunk in like a movie theater, and then he brings everybody back.
He's like dying, and then he dies.
Yeah,
and he comes back and saves Beth's parents.
Right.
And Dr. Midnight's like, "What about the dramatic death thing?" And he's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah,
you know me.
Dude.
You know me. Yeah. So at some point in the season in the past, we found out that the JSA actually worked with the Shade, and like for the whole season, you think that the Shade's the main villain, and then Eclipso obviously shows up, and then you think that Eclipso's was working for the Shade, and then you find out that's not the case. And then the best decision that they made is finding out that the Shade actually helped the JSA at some point. He's just in it for himself, which is fine. Yeah.
Yep.
He's Loki. He's in it for personal
He's
gain.
in it for himself, but he does the classic distinction of, I'm bad, he's evil. There's a difference between bad and evil.
Yeah.
I
have a conscience.
Yeah.
You're right.
Exactly. I don't want the world to get destroyed.
Yeah, I live here.
It's the Rocket Raccoon thing.
I love
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's like, I live in the galaxy. I don't want it to get
destroyed. He's like, why should I care about the galaxy? And Star-Lord's like, because you're one of the idiots that lives in it.
Like, good point. It's a great point. So,
It's the same thing with the Shade.
Right. Good stuff. Shade's fun. So Beth. Dr. Midnight's back. Beth's arc is more relying on her parents, because one of the big things Eclipso needs is conflict. He needs conflict, like pain.
He's Aries.
Yeah, he is Aries. So yeah, he needs all these things. Hatred to feed off of, and Beth's parents are getting a divorce. I couldn't believe that they got back together at the end of the season, because it just for me personally, it
goes back to the tone of the show.
Yeah, like it untwined every seed sown of her parents had like splitting up, and her thinking she's the reason. Like, it's like reason and purpose. Like, is she the reason her parents are splitting up?
Yeah, they disappointed in her. Like, they upset that she's like a recluse,
which they said wasn't the point, because they got together. But then if I go back and look at the season while they were fighting, Beth was also there, so maybe it was her that split them up. You're not innocent, Beth, not in my eyes. I still love you though. You're doing great. The actress that plays her does a phenomenal job as Beth. She's like the Bruce Banner when she's not like, she's very nice,
and she's very sympathetic.
Yeah, she's sympathetic. Like she's the heart of the. She's like the maybe not the heart, because Courtney's really the heart of the team.
Yeah. She's, I don't know what she is, but she's a very sympathetic character. Like, you feel genuinely bad, like, that she can't reestablish her connection with Chuck.
Yeah.
Like,
and also can't reestablish her connection of her parents.
Yeah, like, she truly does feel like all alone. And, you go back to your point, like, you don't know why she's Dr. Midnight. She doesn't even know why she's Dr. Midnight.
Right.
Like, she looks to her left, she sees Yolanda, who can fight like a lunatic. She sees Rick, who has super strength. She sees Courtney, who's like a literal angel.
I got something about that. I'm glad you said Rick's name. I got an issue. They should have put Rick and Beth together this season, and they didn't do it. Which is also fine, because that's just a normal trope of every single teen show, is somebody needs to be dating somebody.
Well, we're going to get there with Courtney and Cameron.
Oh, that's going to be a great battle for next season, when he's like, hey, I'm Icicle Jr., and she's just like, could you not? I think he's going to end up joining them.
I love it. I love the slow burn.
Yeah.
That's been the one slow burny thing they've done through these first 2 seasons, is him with his powers. And I love that he's just kind of hanging out in the background.
Because they put the ISA together, but he was the big one that wasn't there, that didn't get any type of play.
Because Cindy tried to recruit him, and he was like, get lost.
Yeah,
like, I hate you. Like, because she kind of like manipulates all of them, and she's like, "Oh, you're into this thing. I'm also into this thing."
You're into violins.
Like, get lost.
Yeah, you're into violins.
Cameron's like,
fiddler.
You've never been into art.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another kid who gets killed. The fiddler's kid.
Oh, he does get killed. Man, this show is brutal, man. You want to talk about the horror elements? Because this is a horror season trapped in a coming of age story.
Heck yeah, it is.
That episode where the town gets, like, the thunderstorms start to roll through the town. That scene where Icicle comes back in Courtney's mom's vision, great. The stuff. What else do we got? I mean, the Cameron scene, good. Like, that was just a straight up, like, horror episode. Let me find that episode.
When the JSA goes to the art room. Remember that bit?
Oh, yeah, that was earlier in the season. That was, like, the first of, like, Eclipso.
With all the hallucinations?
Yeah.
Like, Beth is, like, freaking out, like, seeing her parents. And
oh, you mean the teacher from Stranger Things that plays the same character in this show, too?
And then, like, Rick is seeing Grundy, and he's, like, beating him.
Oh, yeah.
Yolanda's seeing Brainwave and Brainwave Jr., and, like, they're all freaking out, and Courtney doesn't understand what's happening to them.
Because she has the staff, so that's a big piece. Like, she doesn't feel it because she has the staff for most of it.
So she gets sent to the Shadowlands.
Yeah. That was crazy. Let's talk about that episode real quick. Brave to say that that's the best episode of the season? It was that episode, and I think it was the JSA versus the ISA and the Ascension of Eclipso. That episode, I will give Eclipso that. The first time he appeared as Eclipso, great. He beat the living daylights out of all of them. Who else we got? So real quick with that episode, so full out black and white episode.
Yep.
The Shade gets kind of the penultimate piece of his arc where he brings them all back and essentially dies for a little bit till he comes back.
He dies for a bit.
Yeah, he dies for a bit. Just really good for Cindy too, because Cindy kind of gets trapped in the loop of her seeing herself kill her mom.
That's where Cindy really Courtney sees Cindy's trauma.
Yeah, and Courtney understands like, oh, I might act like this if I saw that.
Yeah,
for my entire time.
you're not bad. You were made this way.
Yeah, and I know we said Eclipsos, but Cindy's her real counter. Like, she's really what's the best way to put it? She's the Winter Soldier pre-Winter Soldier for Captain America. Who else is she? What other heroes we got? Throw me a hero.
She's the mirror.
Yeah.
You know, she's the evil mirror to Stargirl.
Yeah.
She's the Dark Archer to the Green Arrow.
Right, there you go. Right. So, yeah, Courtney, where was I? What were we talking about? That episode? Yeah, so good episode, all black and white, really sad. We see the Zarek's come back. Man, they hate this family. They hate magicians in this show. So you see them at the beginning. He does the card trick that he did on Courtney. It's sad because she remembers, and then, like you said,
he tells her, like, you lied to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you gonna lie to me again and say that it was the right card? And she was like, I was just trying to help you. And she's like, yeah, fat lot of good. That did me. Mm-hmm. I'm dead.
Right. And then, boom. Dr. Midnight's back. He's alive. He's in the Shadowlands, and he can. I think that blinded him, right? I think that's what they said. He had the goggles on for X amount of time.
It kept him from seeing the illusions.
Right, but like I think it like permanently damaged his eyes because he had those goggles on, looking through that for however long.
Years.
Yeah, years on years. So, Dr. Midnight, cool.
Yeah, cool.
Glad he's back. Yeah, I want to see more of him from season 2. Is he coming? We'll see.
Well, he was going to find his wife and his new kid.
Yeah.
What
did we say that new kid's also gonna have to? He's gonna have to fight Beth to be the new Dr. Midnight.
And then I guess the one character that we're hanging on to is Starman.
Yeah.
Who's gonna play a big part in season 3? Yeah, he's gonna properly train Courtney.
And I kind of know where his conflict's gonna be, and that's gonna be with Pat because Pat's been doing all the training, but who's gonna be the better trainer? That's what his whole thing's gonna be. It's kind of the Cobra Kai thing. Like, who's the better trainer? Is it the guy that's been there doing all this, or is it the guy that put it to the side and left and started his family?
And also kind of gonna create kind of, in a weird way, it could circle back to like season 1, where like she thought Starman was her dad, and now like he kind of could be. Yeah,
he's gonna be her surrogate dad, but she already has a stepdad with Pat, so I can see. I also think they could kill. Why am I forgetting his first name? Pat. They could kill Pat. What's his real name? Luke Wilson. Man, all these Wilson brothers in their superhero content. You love to see it. But I could easily see them killing Luke Wilson in season 3. Mm-hmm. And her kind of being devastated because she spent so much time with Starman and kind of adopted those ways, and then she lost the guy that really had her, cautiously go about it, but did the right thing in having her go about being Stargirl.
Yeah, you're already planting the seeds of him being not a bad influence, but being like the fun uncle.
Oh yeah, because he even says like, "Who needs school?" Yeah, he does this very community thing.
Yeah, because Starman's like, "Oh, I'm going to show you how to wield that staff like a real hero." And Pat's like, "After you go to school," and Starman's like, "Nah, man." Mm-hmm. Badges? We don't need no sticking badges.
Right. Yeah. And then also for Mike, too, because Mike has full control of... He even says he's like, at the end of summer, I'm going to get full control of Stripe, hopefully. So if Pat dies, you already have his legacy, because he also has the same thing. Anyway you split it, he was part of the JSA, the original, so he has his legacy. And then Courtney being with Starman, like, I think that's going to be a really... It's kind of feel like how Moira died, but more in like the hero sense. It's almost kind of... I don't want to say when Barry's dad died in the Flash, because that was a little different, because he had been gone for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see him passing. It's going to be sad, but it's going to be a really great character piece. Maybe she gives up the mantle, which every hero in every show does for a little bit. And season 4...
Yolanda did this season.
Right, and then it's going to be about her picking it back up in season 4.
Yeah, so season 3, it's weird. We usually have kind of an idea of where these shows are going. This one, because it's so obscure.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to say where this is going.
Yeah, like I said before, I've read a decent amount of comics. I don't know. I think I read like the first arc of the Jeff Johns JSA run, because it's like really popular, but I haven't read like the whole thing or anything like that. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah. Except we got Mr. Bones.
Oh my god, hilarious. You gotta love comics, man. Mr. Bones. So I want to get this out of the way. So Keith David, for everybody, one of everybody's favorite voices in Hollywood, is playing Mr. Bones. He looks like Red Skull, but DC. Cool.
No, he just looks like a skeleton. Not even Red Skull.
Yeah.
Red Skull at least has the weird red fleshy
and
thing.
it's his face, yeah.
Mr. Bones is literally just a skull.
Yeah, it's great. It's a pink skull. I don't know
why it's pink.
Yeah.
But he's got a trench coat on.
Yeah, amazing. So it has to do more with Jade. So I think this was Jade's audition to be in this show for season 3, and I guess she passed. And because I think the whole thing is like all these superheroes and villains are in this small town in Nebraska.
The Shade's sticking around.
Yeah, and he says, "Let's go check it out." So cool. I don't think he's going to be the villain of season 3.
He can't be.
No.
Not Mr. Bones.
No, he can't. It's too funny for him to be the villain. Like you said, I couldn't tell you who the villain, and I kind of love that ambiguity of this being obscure.
Because last season it was Eclipso. We knew that was coming.
Right.
We seen it. We seen it coming.
Yeah, I think this season also did a good job of setting up. It's like we don't know who it's going to be, like, but we have options. It could be Mr. Bones. It could be the
nurse.
It could be it could be the McCants. They could be the villains of this season because I didn't know all of them had icicle powers. I don't know how his grandmother, and his grandfather do. Doesn't make too much sense because, like, how do they both have powers?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, shouldn't it be, like, one of them? Because, like, I don't know.
Genetics? Yeah,
genetics, right? Who knows? Does this mean his mother also...
Well, they're his dad's parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But how do both of them have it? Because they got married.
All right.
Brother and sister. Unless this is Game of Thrones and this is going to get real weird next season. I don't know why that thought stuck in my head. I was like, how do the both of them have powers? Like, wouldn't it just be his mom or his dad?
Coincidence?
I think not. Who else we got? We got the Cindy arc joining the JSA.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. It's gonna be like...
Sportsmaster lives next door.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we got to talk about that real quick, because that was a pretty big piece of the season with the new ISA that got formed. Who's in the new ISA?
Artemis,
new Fiddler.
Cindy.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all she got to.
Oh, it was the 3 of them, right?
Yeah, because she wanted Cameron, and he said, nah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I just want to draw my future girlfriend in my notebook.
Mm-hmm. Creep. So... Sportsmaster, hilarious villain. And
he's still great.
Yeah,
he's still great.
It's amazing. When you talk about chewing the scenery and understanding the assignment, they understand exactly especially him. Yep. They understand what the assignment is. I mean, Artemis somehow they have to be enhanced, right?
Yes.
I think that's kind of I think the implication is like steroids, but they're getting some like Tony Stark level steroids because I don't know. Because like Artemis throws a football and like bends the goalpost. I'm like, excuse me?
Right.
How did you do that?
Yeah, she does some like comically strong stuff. Like, even like on Rick's level.
Right, yeah, she's going toe to toe with Rick, and I'm like, no, like Rick's folding her in half if that's the case, and he has the Hourman power, but yeah, it's fun. They're gonna be hilarious neighbors. I think they're gonna be like we're trying to be good, but we can't help but be good. I think the only issue they're gonna come off as like just straight comedy next season.
Probably, yeah.
Which I mean I understand. They're gonna be the counter to what the Whitmores are.
Yeah, they've reduced the role of the former ISA members.
Right.
I mean Icicle got turned into dust, so he got reduced.
Right.
The Shade is kind of a good guy / anti-hero.
Right.
Who's gonna help Rick through like his thing. Mm-hmm. And then Sportsmaster and Tigress are gonna be like the comical next door neighbors.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna be like Agatha.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm looking forward to season 3.
Yeah. Overall, great season.
Mm-hmm.
Another great installment into this new age of this CW verse, this Arrowverse. Superman in this show just gave me hope for that. It's not even hope about the actual product from the show. It's like from a production standpoint that there can be some love and care that go into these.
Scaling it back to like 13 episode seasons, which I think is perfect.
Yes.
Like that's the sweet spot. I don't need any more 24 episode seasons.
There's no need for any villain of the week. That's not how it should really go. Like everything means something.
Makes me retroactively wish that like the Flash and Arrow could have done like 13 episode seasons.
I think Arrow's fine in the way. Some of the seasons definitely could have been cut down. Arrow's fine in the sense because it was so street level. Like the Flash probably shouldn't have been doing 20. One, it probably would have helped with the budget too. It would have helped with also the want, because people probably would have wanted more but not got that much, and it kind of probably would have been more cohesive, because there were weeks where like you kind of feel it when season 3 and on of like, what does this mean to anything? Like, what's the point of this? Yeah.
It happened a lot in season 4.
Yeah,
it happened a lot last season. The Godspeed, like we talked about, what did we talk about? How you could have just done the Mirror Master stuff and then segued right into the Godspeed stuff and just skipped the Force thing entirely.
Yeah, and then the season before that, who was it? Bloodwork? Yeah, Bloodwork. You could have cut Bloodwork out of the entire season and nothing would have changed.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, good season. A great follow-up to a season 1. I think everybody should just go out and watch the show. Same thing with Superman. Watch these 2 shows. Get a little bit more hope for what these CW shows, they're not like they used to be. They got a little bit more money, a little bit more care that they're being handled with.
A little more direction.
A little more direct. And I was feeling that, like, listen, it's not anything that blows you away, but Superman a little bit in the episode 1, I was like, wow, for a CW show. But this show's too, it's like longer takes. Like, you feel more filmmaking in this too, which I appreciate. Like, you just, there's more to this. There's more substance to this than what we've been getting out of The Flash and Arrow and Legends and Supergirl, which I appreciate. Like, I think we're done with this new era or the old era of.
Feels that way.
Yeah, of the Arrowverse. I think this is the last season of The Flash. I expressed I didn't like the first episode of Armageddon. I understood it and I didn't hate it. That was just an encapsulation of what the last 4 seasons of The Flash has been for me. Supergirl's done. Arrow's done. Legends is doing whatever the heck it wants, which is great.
Yep, keep doing that.
Yeah, it's fun because you don't have that show's a no harm, no foul show. It doesn't matter because they could just be like, oh, we just reset the timeline, so none of this matters. It's amazing. It's
meta. It exists in its own little space. It's like the Deadpool of the CD universe, the CW universe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Black Lightning is done. Batwoman is probably done.
Yeah, I don't think Batwoman's going to survive. I don't think it's going to go
So,
anywhere.
Yeah, we're really just down to these kind
of... Two shows, yeah.
2 or 3 shows, with Legends.
Right.
And then,
I could see Legends also. Legends just hit, what is... 200th?
Yeah, 100th episode.
100th episode? Yeah, I could see them being like, all right, Legends, you guys had your fun. This is it.
Yeah.
Let's put all
everything else is... and then they have Doom Patrol and Titans over on HBO Max.
Right, which are different universes, but still, like, higher budget than these 2, but fun. A lot of fun. Let me get one character that you can see another show. It could be somebody from Stargirl or Superman. It couldn't be somebody from them, but who do you think? If CW was to greenlight another show, on CW, who would you want? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, you did. I feel like this would be like down the line a little bit, but I'd like to see them do something with Jordan and Jonathan Kent.
Also, to add to that point, maybe Jordan and Jonathan, yes, but maybe they do a Super Sons, not a Super Sons, but more of a Batman and Superman son. I can definitely see them casting a young Damian Wayne, and maybe, it would be hilarious if Bruce is like, you've been crap in these schools in Gotham, you haven't learned your lesson, you're going to Smallville for a little bit. I feel like that would be absolutely hilarious, and we get a little no harm, no foul show from that.
Do you think that Stargirl is ever going to interact with anyone else from these universes?
Without a doubt, yes. I don't want to use the word dumb, but I think it would be a wasted opportunity if they didn't have her interact. I thought she was going to be in this Armageddon arc, if I was being honest, but I understand why she's not, because of where Stargirl was at the moment. It just wouldn't have made sense for her to be like, if this was season 3 or 4 of Stargirl, yes, but she hasn't earned that place to go amongst the other heroes. Yeah, she's not ready yet. Yes, I think... The Flash would be a good place for her to start.
I would love to see her interact with Barry.
Yeah, because Barry was her. Barry was what she was right now at some point with Oliver. That Oliver got sick of it. He was like, this is too much happiness. Like, how are you this happy all the time and go lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I could see that. 100%. Yeah, I think that's all we've got about Stargirl.
Yeah. Go watch that season.
I'm glad we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a really underrated show. What you've been watching anything?
Have I? I've watched so much. So cool. Let's get into it. So Saturday, I promised the Harder They Fall review, and it's coming, guys. I'm gonna start reviewing movies seriously. It's coming. Don't worry. Give me some time, guys. I work a full-time job.
Yeah.
I got this, but we're working to get better, and we're working to get our content out there. So yes, I will be starting to review movies very, very soon. So Saturday, I was off. Cool. I got a Saturday off before the madness of this week, when this, you guys will know, it's Black Friday week. It's going to be insane. So,
retail life.
Yeah, retail life. So this Saturday, I was off. It was a great day. I woke up and I watched King Richard. Boy, was I emotional during that movie. When I had an inkling of I was going to be, and it was not until they showed the real Venus and Serena during like the end credits that I was like, oh my God, this movie really hit me. Man, Will Smith might win an Oscar for this. That's just I think he might win an Oscar for this. His role is just as their father. It's so inspirational. It's somebody that's being misunderstood, and it's kind of like the selling point. So, if for those of you that don't know, everybody knows who Venus and Serena Williams are. A lot of people that are younger know about her father, and it's funny because I asked my mom about this, and she kind of gave me like the whole full out backstory. Like their father was very, like, he was very verbal, and like people thought he was just crazy because he had this plan for these two little girls from Compton to be the greatest tennis players of all time. And it's this perfect thing for Will Smith to kind of capture. I think Will Smith gets a little bit of a bad rap because of some of the movies he's worked on, because I think his comp is Denzel, of like these two titans of industry that are black actors. And where it breaks it down for Will Smith is it felt like he was taking whatever role, and Denzel doesn't take everything. Like Denzel will only do some of the best movies to come out of each year, which is fair. Mm-hmm. But Will Smith is a person. He was a rapper first. He's a personality, which he has a lot of fun with the stuff he does, which is great. And man, he really, really just delivered one of those performances. I said it last week, that just stays with you. It's one of those things where you think about it afterwards. You think about some of the messages. And that's the big part about this movie, was the message that it delivered. That you can create this plan for life, however crazy that you think it would be. We're gonna get it done. Pursue your dream. Maybe you don't agree with his methods, but at the end of the day, he loved his daughters more than he loved himself, and it showed in that movie and through Will Smith's performance. Also, the two actresses they got to play Venus and Serena, specifically Venus, they're on the up and up. I can feel it. Really good. Also, best supporting actor nom. Let me get Punisher himself, John Bernthal. He played their second coach that they had, which I believe, if you watch the videos of Venus's first match, because it was that was like a big deal. I also asked about this too. Like when that match came out, it was a huge deal because it was this little girl from Compton taking on the number one in the world, and she won the first set. And then people are like, how did she even do this? And he's playing their second coach, and he's this very Midwestern guy that moves to Florida and makes it big for himself. And the way he delivers his lines was amazing. I love John Bernthal.
Me too.
I need him. He's gonna come back to the MCU.
I hope
They're gonna get him back. So hope he gets a best supporting actor. And like I said, as of right now, I think it's Will Smith's award to lose. But that's not what we go to the movies for. It's not what we should go to the movies for. It's to receive that message and feel something. Movies should make you, and art should make you feel something. Speaking of making me feel something, I love Andrew Garfield.
Oh, good.
I love this guy. Here. Man, I want to say a 30-degree tilt, because I was with Andrew Garfield. I really love some of the work. He's in this really outside of the box, and outlandish isn't the right word to use. It's like this really cerebral movie called Under the Silver Lake. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an A24 production. Man, he has star power. That's what Andrew Garfield has. But he has star power with heart. That's my favorite thing about him. So Tick, Tick, Boom follows the story of, I guess a lot of people have heard of the musical Rent, but not a lot of people know about the inception of Rent. And it's interesting. So this man, Jonathan Larson, he lived in New York. He was a playwright. He was working on Broadway, and he couldn't get anything to stick. He had this one really outlandish play that he was trying to get done, and he couldn't get it done. And he kind of felt life starting to tick. A lot of his friends around him were passing away. His friend just found out he was HIV positive. It's really sad and somber, but it gets masked by the opening of just this musical that's so, bright and not colorful is not the right word. It's just so bright and vibrant.
Performed by Andrew Garfield.
Yes. And nobody knew he can sing up until this point.
He didn't know he could sing.
No, he didn't. And he can. Trust us. He can.
He can.
Yeah. It's like I talked about with King Richard, how it's inspirational. This is inspirational to a certain specific group of people. And it's these people that think they're running out of time. And it really hit home for me. It hit home for some of my friends that I had. It was, we have time. You can it doesn't matter how old you are. You can create the thing that you love. Jonathan Larson sadly passed away on the night, I believe, on the day right before Rent. Right. I think it was like the day before something of the first preview of Rent that was being,
off Broadway. Yeah.
Yep. And then Rent is one. I mean, I even heard of. I'm not a big Broadway. I've heard of Rent before. It's just it's one of those. It's like Cats, Rent, Lion King, like those things you hear on Broadway. Yeah. Like I knew about Rent and I didn't know about the story. Also, Lin-Manuel Miranda this film doesn't get made without him. I mean, he's going to be one of, if not one of the brightest, not just minds in Hollywood, not in terms of acting. Maybe he probably will do some more stuff because he is huge in plays, but it's in his producing and his directing. I think this is his first feature, I'm pretty sure, and he did an amazing job. This movie's got so much heart. Just a really bright message. Like I said, it's like in the verbiage of tick tick boom, or the adage of tick tick boom. Like, we have time. Mm-hmm. There's time, and you don't know what you're going to do at that time. You want to talk about what Andrew Garfield said when he was with, who was he with? Stephen Colbert? Because just this really beautiful thing he said. So Andrew Garfield's mom passed away, and it was really tough because he said he took it in the way of, man, I'm doing this for her. It's like an easy trope, but it's almost like he found the beauty in her passing away because now he's had his motivation to do what he does and why we make these films and why we do, like, it's the same thing for me. That's why it's so I can help somebody else and like we can have these things pass on to other people. And just go watch that clip. I love Andrew Garfield now. Like, I'm fully sold. Like, stop asking him about Spider-Man 2. Very adamant. Stop asking him about it. Like, there's so much more behind this man than just that. You can tell he's like an actual good person too. Like, some of those people you can tell. I can tell he's like an actual good person.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could probably tell from him not fighting anybody over the last 4 months of him trying to get his feature made that he possibly could also be nominated for. That every question is about Spider-Man, even though we're trying to honor the legacy of a man that passed away. Like, it's kind of sad if you think about it.
Yeah.
So after I watched a lot of movies Saturday. So after that, I went to the theater and I saw French Dispatch. So I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan. I love Grand Budapest Hotel. Moonrise Kingdom is one of my favorite movies of all time. You got the Royal Tenenbaums. You got fantastic Mr. Fox. Super talented, super stylized director. And I got into the theater and you feel it right away. It's one of those, it's an art house piece. That's the best way to explain Wes Anderson. And he just does an amazing job at just painting these kind of dollhouse type of worlds where everything moves with pace and it moves with purpose. And it kind of feels like the strings are being pulled on puppets. It's just a really great way. I think I don't know if this is a hot take. I think this is his best cast. This is his most named cast, I think. And that's saying something because he's worked with Ralph Fiennes. He's worked with the Wilson brothers. He's worked with some top tier talent. But I mean, Francis McDormand, Timothy Chalamet, Bill Murray, Jeffrey Wright. You had James Bond's girlfriend / wife in No Time to Die. I can't remember. Leah something. I don't even want to begin to pronounce her last name because I couldn't. Not Javier Bardem. Benicio del Toro. I'm missing like 2 major people. I apologize, but yeah, just really stylistic. It's how I felt about that is how I felt about what Spike Lee did on The Five Bloods, what Quentin Tarantino did on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and what Martin Scorsese did on The Irishman. It's these older directors doing what they do best and showing the younger generation, this is why I'm still here. It's like a day in the life of what I do. Like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't think is Quentin's best movie. I don't think that The Five Bloods is Spike's best movie. I don't think that The Irishman is Martin's best movie, but it's at the top tier of all of them because that's why they're the greats. It's like it's why they're on the Mount Rushmore of filmmakers. Like it's why they're there, and I think Wes Anderson added his name to that too. My standout from that movie was Jeffrey Wright, and it's his voice. And he has this like intoxicating voice, which you can't help but listen and be just enthralled by what. It doesn't matter what he's saying, and it's funny. So this film's split into like a prologue, and then it's like a chronicling a paper. So it's the first part with Owen Wilson. Then you get to the part with Tilda Swinton. She's also in this movie. Benicio del Toro. She's like chronicling the life of Benicio del Toro. Adrian Brody. See, I'm remembering these actors. It's like how crazy these actors. And then the third part is with Jeffrey Wright, and he's with the villain from the second Bond movie. What's the name of the movie?
Wait, which second Bond movie?
Daniel Craig's Bond movies. He was Dominic Green.
Oh,
the one I didn't like.
Yeah, not Skyfall, not
Casino Royale.
Not Casino Royale.
Why? We just talked about this. Man.
Quantum of Solace.
Yes, Quantum of Solace. Dominic Green. He plays this police chief in France, and his son gets kidnapped, and Jeffrey Wright's like there. But the whole point is like they're just supposed to be tasting food, and the alliteration that he uses and just the way he kind of reverberates these kind of adages to us, it's so well crafted. And I'm talking about from a writing lens from Wes Anderson. It's amazing. And then you just don't get that without somebody like Jeffrey Wright. So if I'm to add somebody else to the best supporting category, it would be Jeffrey Wright in an already packed movie that was full of heavy hitters. So yeah, I saw a lot of good movies, and then I saw a not so great movie because I decided to end the night on Red Notice.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, listen, go have fun with that movie. Don't have any expectation, because I had a bit of expectation and it ruined it. I have one main issue, and then we'll hop off because we can't just talk about films forever. They should have switched what Ryan Reynolds and The Rock were doing. They should have switched their roles, because how it comes off. So Ryan Reynolds is this art thief, and The Rock there's a twist at the end, but The Rock is he's an FBI agent or something like that, an FBI informant. His job is to deal with art theft. That's his FBI job. I don't know if that's a real job. That seems like a movie job. Sorry to anybody that works in art thievery for the FBI, but Ryan Reynolds comes off too Deadpoolish and too Ryan Reynolds-ish, which is fine, but it doesn't work as an art thief because he would be too stupid to pull off some of the stuff, in my opinion. If they would have switched, because The Rock's being The Rock, he's very stoic and in that nature. If they would have flipped them, it would have been funny to see him as like a stumbling idiot cop that tried to stop this very big, muscular art thief. Yeah, I think it would have been a smart switch for them to make. Because there's a point in the film where you found out The Rock's being set up, but I would have liked it better because it's all The Rock just going, I've been set up, I need to fix this. I would have loved Ryan Reynolds' comedy being I don't know what the heck I'm going to do if I don't fix that. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing about that movie that they could have changed, and it would have made it a little bit more enjoyable. I don't love The Rock and Ryan Reynolds together. I didn't like it as much as other people The Rock or Ryan Reynolds has been with. I mean, that's just small stuff. They weren't bad. Gal Gadot's the villain. Cool, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's a no harm, no foul movie. Go enjoy it. Just have a little fun. Way too much plot convenience. I hate myself sometimes for this. Yeah, it's fun. It's fine. Sorry we had to end on Red Notice. We should have probably ended on French Dispatch.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Oh, man. So I guess I'm just going to take the gaming corner of what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's usually... this is probably how this is going to go. I'm probably going to take the movies. I'm going to take the games.
So I played through Final Fantasy VII Remake again.
What else is new? Just so you guys know, I probably don't go a day without Rob telling me something about Final Fantasy, which is cool because I'm going to play it, man.
I love this game. I love the original. It's my favorite game of all time. It's the reason I got into story writing, storytelling. I love the characters. I love the world. I played through the remake. This is my fourth or fifth time playing through it, and I just strictly went through it messing with the photo mode and messing with the cinematics.
I'm just gonna look at some photos in Live React that you've sent me because some of the photos in the photo mode is amazing.
I think I've mentioned to you, I've never seen a game shot like this before. It feels like it's shot by a real camera, and I know it's not shot by a real camera because they're not real people. They're mocapped, but it's not like a real person there. It's beautiful. The game is beautiful. The way it's shot, it frames shots really well, which I don't remember games doing. I don't remember playing a game and being like, wow, that's a really great shot. You know what I mean? It's so weird. It's like, there's characters are blurred out in background so that they focus on other characters. They always pan to like who's speaking. They use colors really well. Like the colors pop even when you're not using filters on the photos. It breathed new life into this game. Like I was looking at it. It took me probably twice as long to play because I was literally freezing the screen every other, 30 seconds. Some of the shots look like concept art. Like that's how well, designed they are. It's just crazy to me that I found this whole different side of this game that I already loved and found a whole new appreciation for it. And then I've been playing this game called Judgment. So it's a spinoff of the Yakuza series, which is a Japanese action RPG that takes place in Tokyo and you do Yakuza stuff. But Judgment is taking the perspective of a former defense attorney who was disgraced because he got an acquittal for a suspected serial killer, got an acquittal, and then that serial killer turned around and immediately killed his girlfriend.
Oh,
so
no.
So he quit the lawyer life and became kind of a vigilante / private eye, and the game is an action RPG where you do like street fights and you're solving crimes. It's really cool. I got it on a Black Friday sale. I got Judgment and then the sequel to it, Lost Judgment, both of which came out this year. Judgment came out in April and Lost Judgment came out in September. So I've been grinding through the first one so I could play the second one. So, yeah.
Game looked cool. I walked in and you were playing and I was like, wow, you were beating the crap out of some dudes when I walked in.
Yeah, it's very over the top, very, kind of crazy, kind of comically over the top with like violence and the dialogue and, but it's cool to do stuff like that. And then I'm looking forward to eventually replaying Guardians of the Galaxy. That's probably the last thing I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other games coming out this year?
This year? Nah, we're pretty much done. I mean, everything that's, December's kind of Spider-Man drops for Avengers in a couple weeks. I don't even know if I'm going to jump into it, to be honest with you.
I saw some swinging, and I'm not playing. I've been playing Miles Morales. Yeah. I got to finish that game, so yeah.
It's unfair to compare what this is to Insomniac, but you can't help it.
Right, because that's the comp.
The next big thing is probably the Game Awards is coming in December, and there's usually some pretty big reveals there. So I'm looking forward to what NetherRealm Studios is working on, who are the developers of Mortal Kombat and Injustice.
Okay.
They have been working on something. MK12 is probably not happening. It's two things. It's either Injustice 3 or the big rumor is that they are working on a Marvel game.
I can see a little maybe Civil War action or maybe...
Yeah, so the big rumor is that NetherRealm's working on a Marvel game, so if any time for them to unveil what that is, it would be the Game Awards coming up in December. Other than that, it's really just 2022. Horizon Forbidden West.
What's your number one most anticipated for next year?
Probably Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay.
If we get God of War next year, it would be God of War. I don't think we're going to see God of War until 2023. We're not going to see Final Fantasy VII Part 2 until 2023.
Not Avengers, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's 2023.
Wolverine.
That's beyond Spider-Man, so that's probably late 2023, 2024 territory. Yeah. So Horizon Forbidden West is probably the big one for me as far as next year.
Okay. I'm probably going to play it because you told me. So.
Yeah. As for that, that's going to do it for us. It is past midnight, so...
Oh, man. It's past my bedtime by like 3 hours.
Next week, we're going to do the Raimi films, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do kind of what we did with Batman Begins, kind of a film retrospective on the first Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire. And they're really good. Well, 2 of them are really good. The third one, we'll get into it. But
I got a different perspective. I like the third... Spoiler alert, I like the third one a little bit more than most people do.
Yeah, but as for us, you can find us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. Follow us on there. You can like us on Facebook. We share every time the new episodes drop, as well as some stuff interspersed between the week. You can email us, projectinfinitepod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram.
At the Project Infinite Pod.
Beautiful. Everything else that we have coming in the pipeline, coming soon, eventually. It's going to be a busy month for us.
It's going to be a Spider-Man month.
Big Spider-Man month, yeah. We're going to talk a lot of Spider-Man, which is fine because he's the most popular superhero of all time. So
Did Stargirl just not exist anymore? I don't understand.
People can never get enough Spider-Man content. Yeah. So that's going to do it for us. for the Pat Dugan of the podcast, everybody.
I guess I'll take it. I thought you were going to give me like Mike or something, but I guess I'll take it.
Nah, you're better than Mike. He's an annoying little prick.
Do you think so?
Yeah. He gets on my nerves.
I think he gets a bad rap.
But anyway, next week, the Raimi films. Can't wait. See you next week. Goodbye.